So, PlayStation 1. I first thought I didn't have that many PlayStation 1 games. Put it next to my Xbox stack, and I have a fair amount. So let's get started. I'm going to start with the games I physically own, and then I'm going to talk about the PlayStation Classic Mini, or whatever it's called. Alright. So, I don't know why. So, I first didn't know why this was called Collector's Package, and then I looked into it. See, I got it used, so I didn't technically get the collector's part of it. So, this is Final Fantasy 5 and 6. And the collector's part is supposed to come with a CD. I do not have said CD. So, if you ever got this and only got 2 discs, you are missing the CD. Just fun little bit of information that I found out looking into it when I was doing the stuff. Yeah, double checked, and yeah, no CD, just 2 discs. That's fine. Alrighty. I've not played. I'm terrible. I've not played a lot of Final Fantasy games, and while I like the PlayStation disc collection, if you will, of the Final Fantasy games, most likely when I do get to playing Final Fantasy 1 through 6. I don't have 1 and 2 on PlayStation. I used to have Final Fantasy Origins. It's not one of those discs that mysteriously disappeared. I'll probably replace it one day just for the sake that I want it. Anyway, I'll probably play the Pixel remastered versions through PlayStation Network, since I do own that. I tend to talk about my digital ownership a lot, I've noticed, even though I'm not going to go through like the full list of what I own digitally. Just one of those, I remember having this. Alright. Star Ocean, the second story. This is a 2-disc game. I don't have a case, obviously. I did play this enough that I figured out there's 2 different characters you can play as. You play as them a fair bit before they finally meet up with each other. I need to look into it, but I think you have to play it twice, but I'm not 100% sure. It might be possible that they both end the same, but you just have a very different portion at the beginning of the game. So the guy character, I've noticed this a lot with RPGs. The guy character has a sword. The female character uses magic. Yay. I still kind of prefer her opening, but that's just me. So this is technically not a DDR game, but it does play like DDR. It's the Jungle Book Rhythm and Groove. This game, not only does it have actual music from the Jungle Book, it has original songs in it too. I actually liked it. I've not actually finished it, but I did like playing it enough that I was like, oh, it's fun enough. Alright, so this is the second DDR game. It specifically tells you this continues. This is a sequel to DSS Revolution. So this is the second DDR game that came out, DSS Revolution Codemix. I got that on PlayStation. And then, I'm trying to find it because I want to have them together. Here we go. I actually have the first one, DSS Revolution. So I believe this is the very first DSS Revolution disc game. Yeah, the first dancing game to combine blah blah blah, yeah. So it definitely implies that this is the first one. So I don't know if I actually have all of the PlayStation and PlayStation 2 Dance Dance games, but I have most of them, if not all of them. Those were the last 2 that I actually obtained in my DSS collection. Alright, so Final Fantasy 8. I played this long enough to reach Disc 2 and to realize that leveling up does not make you stronger, because enemies level up with you. I didn't realize that was what was going on until I looked it up later on in life. And I said, ew. So leveling is not your friend in this game. The main thing you're going to want to do in this game, junction system. And you're going to just want to absorb magic in battle from the enemies. You're going to steal items from them and take their magic. And you're going to want to equip the magic to make yourself stronger. And then you go, but I want to use magic. Well, if you use the magic, you will be weaker. It's quite a conundrum. This is one of those games that I think in order to complete it, I would need a guide. To just beat it, I probably could muscle through with a little bit of tinkering on the whole junction system thing, but it'll definitely be a headache. Alright. Legend of Legaia. Legaia? I don't know. Honestly, I don't even know what this is. It tells you that the combat system is based on fight games. Fight games. Not fighting. Fight games. They're so intelligent. Punch, kick, and slash. 3D magic scenes. I have no clue. So, part of me thinks that it might be like an RPG of some sort, and part of me thinks it could be an action game. I don't know based on this case. I do know, based on the time I spent playing it, I had no clue what I was doing. It's one of them games. Back whenever they expected you to talk to everybody and kind of piece together what to do. Thanks, game. It's very, very kind of you. Alright, so I'm pretty sure I didn't buy these. I'm pretty sure that these, because they're PlayStation Magazine games, I think these 2 PlayStation Magazine discs were given to me by my dad's friend. So we got the July 1999 issue and the August 2001 issue. Back when you could subscribe by calling a number. Alright, so the... Yeah, alrighty. Yeah, they were inconsistent how they designed these discs. Alright, the July 1999 issue, the older of the two, has a playable Ape Escape, Bloody Roar 2, Croc 2, MLB 2000, the next Tetris. Can there be a next one? Anyway. Interplay Sports Baseball 2000, Soul of the Samurai, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. And then video, trailer type thing. This is non-playable. So I'm guessing it's like a video trailer. Xeno Warrior Princess, Jet Moto 3, Macross VSX 2, Street Fighter Alpha 3. Honestly, I never bothered, I think, with this game because I wasn't interested in any of these games. Yeah. I'm still not necessarily interested in those. I mean, I hear Ape Escape is good, but I've never tried it. I really couldn't have an opinion. This is the one I was into because I didn't have it at the time. You could play Final Fantasy VIII. I didn't know Final Fantasy VIII at the time. So I played the demo on this enough times that I knew the beginning portion of the game. I knew the first hour of the game, and I know all kinds of stuff about it. On where to get the best magic and everything. And woo. And all that happy stuff. It also has a movie trailer for Final Fantasy. I don't know which Final Fantasy movie it's referencing. You guys out there ever watched it? It has video previews for Final Fantasy VII. I know I watched that like a billion times. Which is kind of sad because I never finished Final Fantasy VII. Anyways, it also has video previews of Final Fantasy IX and Tactics, Chronicles. I don't know why they call it Chronicles. Final Fantasy Chronicles is just Trigger and 4. Anyway, Star Wars Episode 1, Super Bombad Racing. And it lists this Chrono Trigger separately. I'm like, Final Fantasy Chronicles is 4 and Chrono Trigger. Yet they got it listed separately. I don't know. Anyways, Chrono Cross, and then Klonoa 2, which I apparently never watched that video of Klonoa 2 because I didn't even know Klonoa had a sequel for several years. I, I've not actually played much of Klonoa because I'm terrible at the game. But yeah. Um, yeah, I definitely watched the 7 and 9 videos. I don't think I bothered with any of the rest of it. I probably watched the one for 4 like once and was like, okay. So, I always forget what this game is, Eternal Eyes. This is one of those games that when I put it in, I remember what it is. But when it's not in the system, I could not tell you diddle. So I don't know. I thought about looking it up, but I feel. Sorry, I had dismissed something popped up on my phone. I feel like looking it up isn't always the best answer for things. Like, I didn't look up Legend Legaia other than remembering my playing of it. Ran around the village lost and confused for several hours. Finally figured out how to leave the village. There was a cutscene that told me nothing. And then I was outside the village and got myself killed. That I remember. Do not remember this game. I don't know. Alright, I think I'm gonna let myself look it up. Plus, we can see if Legend of Legaia is actually an RPG or if it's something else. Let's first see what Eternal Eyes is so that I can at least talk about that for a second. Alright. This is a game. I know it's a game, man. Strategy game. Okay. Now we know it's a strategy game. That helps. It's a strategy RPG. Okay, the box art would have been more helpful than this cover. The box art shows 2 characters. Okay, yeah, I vaguely remember this. Yeah, it's one of those tactical strategy RPGs, and you have units on the battlefield, and there's just a lot of dialogue. It's one of those RPGs where they just talk, and they talked so much that I got bored and started skipping the dialogue because I was like, what am I even? Alright, let's look at I was right. So it is an RPG. And it's turn based. And apparently it has a sequel. Which doesn't tell me very much, but okay. A lot of people seem to think it's a good game, so I guess I just was clueless. It might have just been that I missed some instruction at some point in the game. That was on me. But yeah, so this is a tactical game. Um, Much in the vein of like Final Fantasy Tactics. So that's why I couldn't remember much. It was one of those games I just fast forwarded the dialogue because I was like, I'm bored. Which, I mean, that's terrible, but I'm trying to go ahead and get this loading up, the list of the games on the PlayStation Mini or whatever you want to call it. Because I don't remember what games were on it, and I do want to talk about that briefly. Alright, there's gotta be a list, right? Right? Somebody listed the games on it. 20 preloaded games. I know that, but what games? There you go. Alright, next up Final Fantasy 9. I am ashamed to say I did not play this game very long. I'm terrible at the VV jump rope thing at the beginning of the game, which kind of had me a little frustrated. I explored around. I tried to find all the hidden items and stuff the best I could. I got past the scene where Garnet joined you, and past the scene where Steiner joined you. And then I think honestly I didn't know what I was supposed to do, like where I was supposed to go, and I just kind of quit playing. And plus, like I had heard that people liked the card game in both 8 and 9 to an extent. They preferred 8's version. I am terrible at the card game in both versions of the game. I have no clue what I'm doing. So I just kind of I was like, maybe when I'm older and understand it better. I haven't went back to it. I'm hoping now I'm older that I can understand the card game, at least in 8. From what I understand, they changed the rules in 9 and it's not as good. That 8 was better, 9's more complicated, and nobody really cares for that nonsense. Alright, so this game I just kind of put in an empty case. Magic the Gathering Battle Mage. I just mainly grabbed it because it's a Magic the Gathering game, and I was like, I'm curious, and then I didn't play it. So, curiosity remains curious. I have not played it. I don't know. Sheep. So, this is a puzzle game involving sheep. That's about all I know about it. They're one of those games. I got it, and then I didn't actually play it. Maximum Force. I know I've played it, but I by golly, don't remember much about it. It's one of those games that I was just kind of like, oh, okay. See, is it? I want to say, let me double check that I'm not insane about which game this is, because there's a few different things I own that I just kind of threw off into the ether of I don't care. Alright, yeah, this is one of them. It could be a light gun shooter, but I don't have the television to use it with or the peripherals. Wait a second. Okay. Alright, yeah. Yeah, it's one of them shooter games, and I don't have a light gun, so it's harder to play it. Not that I wasn't good at it. I still decent at it. I just didn't really care about it very much. Alright. Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories. So inside of this, I actually have notes of some of the cards that I liked to get using the code system. I remember it doesn't play like traditional Yu-Gi-Oh! Card games play anymore. At least by the time I played this, GX was out, so they had already started using a spell card in order to combine monsters, or there was a special effect that said that if you summon this with da da da, you can do such and such to make so and so. This one, you just can combine random cards together and then summon it on the field to make a different monster. I'm not sure if there's like a particular. I'm sure there's a particular pattern to that, but to me, I was like, what? Like, I'm pretty sure, like, man plus beast equals beast man. Like, that sort of logic, but it was like, when I was playing it. The sad thing is, I was a teenager, so I was just being slow. And then, I'll be honest, I have no clue what this is, but it's a Pizza Hut demo disc. And I kept it. I've never played it. One day I will find out what that is. Azure Dreams. So this is a half turn-based, half strategy type RPG with dungeon crawling elements. You're exploring a tower, and you can tame monsters and make them better and make progress. I played for a decent amount of time. I think I only had like one event actually trigger though. It wasn't till later on when I was reading the case that I realized my problem was I need to find out how to spend my profits to build up the town. Because apparently there's a way to build the town up, and I never caught on to that. Alrighty. Next up, Final Fantasy VII. So I did get this game, of course. Of course, it was used, so the case is all scratched. But I never actually finished it. I played up to, like, you go to escort Aerith home and you end up running around and being attacked. And then I don't know, I made it to like the first save past that, and then I don't know why I quit playing. I think I had bought a new PlayStation 2 game and forgot all about the game, honestly. Okay, and then Spyro the Dragon. I know this game was given to me by my dad's friend because it was the first game that I got. That was a PlayStation 1 game. It was also the first game I had for to play on my PlayStation 2 that I just bought at that time with my allowance. And it was ninth grade. And I put this in, and I played this for like 3 hours straight, and I barely finished the first two areas. Like, I'd finished collecting everything in the first area, went through the portal to the second area. It took me forever to figure out to go through the portal. I don't know why. And then I took forever just to finish that next area, trying to collect everything. I'm like, I am terrible at platforming games. Which is true to this day. I'm still terrible at platforming games. I'd like to believe I'm not that terrible that I will spend 3 hours on the first two levels of Spyro anymore, but I wouldn't put it past me. Okay, this is one of those games I picked it up because I was interested in it, but I still haven't actually played it. Treasure Planet. It's based off the movie, obviously. I love the movie. I used to watch it like way too many times. I mean, that's years ago at this point, so. Alright, so this says Collector's Edition, and the only thing that means is that it was supposed to be combined with another game. It even tells you part of a set. Whoever sold this separately technically was disobeying that. Not that I care. I don't remember what it's combined with. I do remember looking it up and going, well, I don't want that game. But Tigger's Honey Hunt. And I at first was confused. I was like, why is Tigger hunting honey? And then I read it, Winnie the Pooh needs you. How can he throw a party without honey? And that's why you're playing as Tigger. You're getting the honey for Pooh. And I'm like, well, I guess that makes sense. I mean, if we sent Pooh Bear to fetch the honey, he'd probably eat it all. I just like the idea of being able to play as Tigger. I every now and then have to play a child game, okay? It doesn't have to make sense. I like playing the occasional children's games just because they're funny and cute. Like this, Goofy's Funhouse. I actually did play this for a little bit, just enough to start watching some of the cartoons on it. That's what I mainly got it for, because it has classic Goofy cartoons. And finding a way to watch some of the classic cartoons that came out like years ago is actually really hard to do. So yeah, and there's different like little mini games and stuff to explore. it's different. It's like a different kind of thing. It's definitely something that I enjoy, despite it being kind of goofy. It's a goofy game that's goofy. Hilarious. All right, and then Final Fantasy Chronicles, hence my knowing that it's just 4 in Chrono Trigger. So something special about Chrono Trigger. Um, I never bothered looking it up. One of these days I'll look it up. I don't know if the PC version has the ending, but I know this one and the DS release have a special ending that was not on the original SNES release, adding to how many endings you can get in that game. Now, I don't know that I'll actually seek out all the endings because there's like 12 or 16 of them. I don't know. It's one of those games that has way too many endings for its own good. I probably will do 2 endings on the SNES and 2 endings on here. And why do I say 2? Because you have to beat the game once before you can beat it again and get the special ending. And the special ending, I guess, is supposed to tie it better to Chrono Cross. I don't know how true that is, but it definitely it mentions on here about Chrono Trigger being a prequel to Chrono Cross. Kind of. I mean, you can play them entirely separately and have no clue that they have anything to do with each other. Let's put it that way. Alright, I didn't actually grab the PlayStation Mini because it's like a system with cords and stuff, and I'm not picking that up. So, according to this listing here, I'm hoping they're correct about what games are on there. It's not like I'm loading it up to find out. Final Fantasy VII, obviously, which I already own that, so who cares? Cool Borders 2, just that's like a sport game. Battle Arena Toshinden, I think is how you say it. It might be Toshinden. That's like a fighting game. Destruction Derby, that's like a racing game type thing. Grand Theft Auto. Back then, oh my goodness, compared with the Grand Theft Auto of today, I was like, wait, what am I doing? It's like this top-down city view when you're driving this car around. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, and I suck at it. So there's a fun thing to know. Intelligent Cube, that's a puzzle game. Jumping Flash, I completed that game. You're a robotic bunny, and you collect things on the levels and find the exit. You don't have to collect everything, no, to find the exit, as if that makes sense. There's just certain things that have to be collected. Collecting everything doesn't really do anything for you besides unlocking actually, I don't even think it's a hard mode you unlock. I think you unlock an easier mode. Now I'm thinking about it. I can't remember. It's been a while. Metal Gear Solid, as in the very first Metal Gear Solid game for the PlayStation 1. I didn't actually play it yet. It's one of those things where I'm like, okay, I know it's a stealth game, and I know that I'm terrible at being patient with that sort of thing. I want to just go shoot enemies and move on, and you can't do that. Hey, Mr. Driller, that's a puzzle game. Oddworld, Abe's Odyssey. It's kind of I'm gonna say it's a puzzle game. I mean, it's like a platforming game, but it's basically puzzle related because you got to rescue so many Mudoggans to move on, and to get the good ending or best ending or whatever you want to call it, you have to save them all. And oh boy. All right, R4 Ridge Racer Type 4. That's a mouthful. That's a racing game. I don't know. Rayman. It's a like action adventure game. It's what I kind of call those. I have not really played it. I've played Rayman Legends. Does that count? I've not actually played the first Rayman. Resident Evil Director's Cut. Very specific on that one. Um, I want to say Director's Cut's the one with the hilarious basement theme, where I don't know why they did that, and it's just ridiculous. I've never actually finished the Resident Evil game. I do know you get to choose who you want to play as at the beginning. It's better to choose the chick because you do get help if you're playing as Jill, versus if you're playing as the guy, you kind of gotta play by yourself. Um, Revelations Persona. So that's actually Persona 1. So there's a series to the Persona series, obviously. So the Shin Megami Tensei series is its own series, and it spun off into Persona at some point. The PlayStation 1 release was the first Persona game. I had the a digital access to the PSP version on my Vita. That I bought it through the PlayStation Network. Oh, excuse me. But I had never actually played the original PlayStation 1 version of it because it's called Shin Megami Tensei Persona for the PSP release. But the PlayStation 1 release was Revelations Persona, so I had never played that until then. I still didn't get very far because I'm still very much like, what am I doing? The early Persona games were not very good at telling you what to do. Both that and the PlayStation 1 Persona 2. Now, Persona 2 Innocent Sin on PSP, they started kind of giving you a better hint at what to do. And then in Persona 3, it was completely obvious what to do. There were certain options you could see in the menu, and you knew where to go to make progress because it was made clear in the story at some point. Of course, that didn't mean you couldn't still screw it up and not know what you're doing, which I've done many times in almost every Persona game. I've not finished a single one of them, getting lost at least at one point or another. Alright. Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo. Obviously a puzzle game, but it's Street Fighter? I really didn't understand what the deal with that was, but I played through and beat it like with one of the characters. I don't know if you get anything different for beating it with a different character. I kind of decided I was done. Siphon, I can't talk. Siphon Filter. That's the one of them stealth games. I don't know. Tekken 3, it's a fighting game. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six, it's a shooty game. Twisted Metal, I briefly mentioned about the fact I did beat that game. And saw the text scroll and was like, wait, they don't actually show cutscenes or images of the ending? You gotta sit here and read? I was a little bummed about that. Wild Arms, I didn't actually play Wild Arms on that. I played it on the on my PS3 using the PlayStation Network. Yeah, I mean, there's some good games there. Definitely. It didn't really amuse me too much. And that's not what I mainly got it for. So I mainly got it because I am willing to play ROMs for the fact that a lot of these PlayStation 1 games are not obtainable anymore. Even if you look them up on the PlayStation Network on the PS3 or on the PS Vita. Even if you're trying to find, like, a different version of it where it got re-released. Sometimes games did not get re-released. And that's where these came in. So it's called True Blue Mini. And these are just little USB sticks that you could plug into the second controller port of the system in order to play the games. Obviously, you cannot have this plugged in if you're going to play Metal Gear Solid. Remove this thing if you're going to play Metal Gear Solid, where the Psycho Mantis fight will never be achievable unless you look up the specific what you need to do to override the controller situation, which is dumb. But yeah, okay. Anyway, so this is the fight pack. I actually got all 5 of them. There's 5 different ones. They got ridiculous names. Like, really ridiculous names. Crackhead, overdose, meth. I can't remember what the other one's called because it got plugged in the system. The names being ridiculous aside, I don't know if they took the site down or if I'm just stupid and can't find it. When I went to look for the game list for these things, I couldn't find it. There are lists online. You can find like images of the lists. So this one has the least amount of games. This is the only one that has under 100 games on it. The others all have over 100. That does not actually include all of the PlayStation library, believe it or not. It does include Final Fantasy Origins, which is why I'm not in a big hurry to replace my copy of it. Not to mention the fact that, like I said, Final Fantasy 1 through 6, I'll probably play on my PS5 with the latest pixel reimagined package. But I got these because there's so many games that I wanted to play on PlayStation. They're just too expensive. Like Silver Star Harmony. I believe that's the PSP version of it. I believe it's Silver Star Story. I forget. Lunar Silver Star Story something. I don't know. I forget the exact name of it, but there's also a second title, Eternal Blue. So there was a 1 and there was a 2. Both of those are available on these little stick things. So what else was there? Kodelka is on one of them. That's one of those games that I definitely want to play. And the going price for these games in disc form easily is over $60 a lot of the times. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they're worth that much. It just means that's what people are charging for it. And if I could get the game without this, I would. But as it stands, that's not the case. So there are some games that I can and am getting in the future, like Saga Frontier. Saga Frontier 1 has a remaster. I'm eventually going to get that on probably PlayStation Network. I might get it on Switch. I'm not sure yet. But Saga Frontier 2 currently doesn't have another release of it and is arguably better than Saga Frontier 1 in many aspects. The Saga series is one of them series that there's people that are diehard fans and there's people like me who are like, I need a guide. I don't see the joy. I still want to play it though because I'm stubborn. I don't know, but yeah, there's just a ton of games that I wouldn't necessarily want to go out of my way to pay to buy a used copy of the disc because it's not helping the creators anymore. If they were still selling the discs through their sites, sure, because then it'd be going to them. They're not still selling it. Or if there was a digital copy on one of the things, like the Saga Frontier remake, sure, but it might just be a remaster. I can't remember if it's a remake or a remaster. It's probably a remaster. But that's not always the case. There's some games that whenever they redo them, they mess it up. Secret of Mana. But that doesn't mean I wouldn't still at least try the new version or make sure, see if the reviews support that the new version's good. New version's good, sure. Like Silent Hill 2, when it comes out, I'm going to see if the new version's good. If the new version is considered of equal quality to the Silent Hill 2 PlayStation 2 version, I'll get it and play it. Everybody knows the HD collection on PS3 sucks, so I'm not even going to touch that. But I could see me at some point emulating it instead of trying to hunt down the disc. And that's basically what happened with all these PlayStation 1 games. It's better just to use a little ROM than to try and hunt down these overpriced. Because, like, I saw not that long ago, I don't know if they still have it for sale. They probably do. It was like $160. Granted, it was complete in box. Like, you had the whole game case and all the stuff that it came with originally for the Lunar Silver Star story. But I mean, I get it's complete, and I think it came with the Eternal Blue with it, so I think it was 1 and 2 together. Which, I mean, for having both of them together, that's not too bad, I guess. I just don't want to pay that much money for 1 or 2 games whenever generally a brand new game is at most 70. Generally, it's 50 or 60. Some of them are cheaper, but going with the $60 mark for a new game, and you look at a used game being 160, it's like, I feel like I'm not buying that. That's just my preference. Everybody has their own preferences. That's just kind of what I end up doing with it. Plus, it's not like all the games work on these things. One of them has the game Myst for PlayStation 1. And while I'm sure it's not the best way to play Myst, it at least probably works on the disc version. On this one of these sticks, whatever one has it, it's broken and doesn't work. So, I mean, not all the ROMs work. But enough of them do that it was a worthwhile purchase for me so I could play all the old RPGs that came out on the PlayStation system without losing my wallet and then some. I don't even have that kind of money. Even if I did have that kind of money, I'm not sure I'd want to spend it on that. I'd rather spend it on house upkeep, bills, and groceries. Because those are technically more important. So that's my PlayStation 1 collection and what I do for the PlayStation games I don't physically have yet. I don't think any of these have the original first Silent Hill. I still need to get a physical copy of that if I want to play Silent Hill 1. One of these days. I know I got sidetracked and talked about Silent Hill, but I know it's one of the more recent releases that's being remade that's coming out, is that there's a Silent Hill 2 remake coming out. And I figure it's a prime example of the old game being overpriced, like $130 for the disc, versus, the alternative. Yeah, if I load up my Vita and check the PlayStation Network, and there's a way to get like a PlayStation 1 game that I don't have and it's not ridiculously priced, sure. And I mean, that's the same with getting new remakes and remasters of the games. If I look at the reviews and they say, yes, this is a better version or this is equivalent to, why not? Like, even with the Final Fantasies, I bought the discs for the PlayStation 1. Nice, knocked all my discs over. But I also went ahead and bought the Pixel Remaster when it came out because I was like, I support this because I like the idea of being able to play all the original Final Fantasies. I would have bought the HD thing, but PlayStation Plus gave me Final Fantasy VII HD. Alrighty. That's it for PlayStation 1 until the next game system.